She left me for someone who had what I didn't, but when she came back, I was unrecognizable.
She said she needed space to grow. That was the phrase she used, sitting across from me at the small dining table we'd bought together years earlier. Her hands were wrapped around a mug she wasn't even drinking from, her eyes fixed somewhere over my shoulder like she'd already rehearsed this conversation. "I can't stay stuck anymore," she said. "I need to focus on my career." I kept waiting for her to mention us, our life, the plans we'd made together, but that part never came. We weren't poor. We weren't unhappy, at least not in any obvious way. We had a modest house, routine evenings, shared responsibilities. What we didn't have was glamour, momentum, the kind of upward curve she wanted other people to see. When I asked what she really meant, she finally said his name. Someone successful, someone confident, someone already where she wanted to be. She didn't scream or cry. She just informed me she was leaving, saying it was something she had to do for herself, as if walking away from a shared life was just a professional development decision. The divorce was efficient. Too efficient. It felt like she'd moved on emotionally long before the paperwork caught up. I kept the smaller things. She took what she could justify. Friends quietly chose sides and some just disappeared. The first year after she left was all about survival. I downsized, cut expenses, and learned to live with less noise and fewer expectations. I worked during the day, and at night, I started improving the skills I'd neglected while trying to keep our marriage afloat. I stopped explaining myself to people who weren't listening. I told myself I wasn't doing it to prove anything, that it was just practical. But deep down, I knew I was rebuilding something she had decided wasn't worth. Time passed in a way that only happens when no one is watching. Promotions came slowly. Opportunities appeared when I wasn't desperate for them. I started saying no more often than yes. I learned patience the hard way. By the third year, my life looked nothing like it had before. Different city, different routine, and a sense of control I hadn't realized I'd been missing. I didn't really think about her much anymore. That's why it was such a shock when she appeared one afternoon, standing in the reception area of my office building. She was clutching a resume like it might fall apart if she let go. At first, I didn't recognize her. She looked tired. Not older, just worn down by expectations that hadn't delivered what they promised. The confidence she once wore so easily was gone, replaced by something careful. She said my name like she wasn't sure I'd answer. We sat across from each other in a conference room that smelled faintly of coffee and printer ink. She apologized quickly like she'd practiced it too many times. She told me things hadn't worked out the way she thought they would, that she'd made mistakes. I listened without interrupting. Then she asked if there was any chance I could help her. Not personally, professionally. She'd seen my name online, the company, the growth, the stability. "I just need a chance," she said. "Anything." I studied her for a long moment. Years ago, she'd walked away without hesitation, convinced I was standing still. Now, she was sitting across from me, hoping I'd pull her forward. I told her I'd think about it. And I did. I offered her a position, entry level, nothing glamorous. A role that required consistency, humility, and the kind of work she once would have dismissed as beneath her. She accepted immediately. Watching her adapt was strange. She worked hard, I'll give her that. But there was a quiet reckoning in her posture, a realization that success isn't borrowed, it's built slowly and often invisibly. We didn't talk about the past, we didn't need to. One evening, months later, she stayed late to finish her project. As she packed up, she looked around the office, at the people moving with purpose, at the systems that ran smoothly because of years of unseen effort. "I didn't understand this before," she said quietly. "The waiting, the patience." I just nodded. Most people don't. She eventually left the company and found her own path. A smaller one, but it was honest. We parted without resentment, without drama. I didn't feel victory, I just felt closure. She needed to focus on her career, so I focused on mine. And in doing so, I learned something far more valuable than success. The difference between chasing appearances and building something real. Sometimes, the best response isn't proving someone wrong. It's simply becoming someone they no longer recognize. Thanks for listening. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more.